Hi, Kim Timlin. First one in. Hi, sweetheart. It's a nice name, sweetheart. Hi, Tamara Hayes. Hi, Carolyn Parish. Just going to check everything's running okay on there. Looks to be all right. Hi, Linda Jacobs. Oh, my desktop's finally catching up. Hi, Melissa Susie. Hi, Susie Q. Hi, Brandy Brown. Oh no, Melissa's got a terrible migraine. May not stick around for long. Oh dear. Well, I appreciate you being here now. I hope it goes off. That's awful. Worst things, aren't they? Migraines. Hopefully you got some proper medication for that. My wife's got some like proper migraine medication that seems to really help. Hi, Lucy Lane. Oh, yeah, right behind the eye. Worst ones, aren't they? Like a screwdriver in your eye. Horrible. Horrible, horrible. Well, I'll just let a few more wander in before I get going. Horrible time of year, and I hate this time of year. In the UK, anyway, it's starting to get dark and so you can just feel autumn and winter coming, and it's getting colder. As I say, it gets dark earlier. It's dark in the morning when you get up. It's just I hate this time of year. I really do. I love the snow. I love winter and the snow, stuff like that. But I hate this time where it's just transitioning over. You kind of got to get used to it. Right, okay. Everyone seems to be coming in okay, which is good. Sorry about yesterday. I just had a complete manic day yesterday, and it was just impossible in the end, really, for me to come on. Hi, Casey, loves essential oils. Yeah, it was just impossible for me to go on yesterday with work and other stuff, domestic stuff. Just wasn't happening. So I hope you're all having good Fridays. At least it's Friday. Yay. One of the best days of the week. It's got to be, unless you're working, of course, on Saturday. Hi, Sasha, 2009. Hi, Missy Jane. So yeah, I've had quite an interesting, eventful week. Hi, Honey Bunches. Um, yeah, quite an interesting week. So for a little while now, I've been speaking with a chap called Lenny Pozner. Do any of you know who he is? Or Leonard Pozner. Does anyone know who he is? I heard of him? No. Okay. So Lenny, he's the father of I don't know if probably more of you in America remember this, but in 2012 there was the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. Hi Hippie, love. Thanks for letting me know about the Canadian times, by the way, Hippie. I'll have to make a change on that. Yeah, so Lenny is the father. He lost his 6-year-old son Noah in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, which was in 2012 in Connecticut. Yeah, that's right, Brandy Brown. He's just actually won a big lawsuit, 450,000, I think, against a pair of co-authors that wrote a book called Nobody Died at Sandy Hook. I think that's what it was called. They're basically saying it was staged and it was all staged actors and it was a hoax. So yeah, he won a £450,000 lawsuit against them. So yeah, I've been speaking to him for a little while actually. I say he lost his son, his 6-year-old son Noah, in that tragedy. So it was in December 14th, 2012. Some of you may or may not remember it. It was a 20-year-old Adam Lanza. He shot and killed 26 people. 20 of them were children between the ages of 6 and 7. Casey Loves Essentials remembers. 6 staff. And then he committed suicide. I think he shot his mum actually before that, before it all started. And sort of since that happened, Lenny, after losing his son, just became, well, they all did really, all the victims just became under attack from all of these conspiracy theorists and people saying that it was a hoax, people saying that they were using staged actors, he didn't really lose his son. It was all used to try and make changes to the gun control, Second Amendment, that kind of thing, which seems to happen in America, doesn't it? When you get these big sort of tragedies like that and gun shootings and stuff like that. I'll just play you a little video actually, just if any of you aren't familiar with it or with Lenny Pozner and with the shooting. I'm just going to play you a short video, hopefully, which should help. Which hopefully you'll be able to hear.
All right, welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Tony DeCopa with Gail King and Anthony Mason. And we begin with this. Only on CBS This Morning, the father of a Sandy Hook victim is telling us about his fight against misinformation. And this comes after a major legal ruling against a man who called the mass shooting a hoax. A Wisconsin jury ordered James Fetzer, who co-wrote a book called Nobody Died at Sandy Hook, to pay $450,000 for defaming Lenny Pozner. Pozner's 6-year-old son Noah was killed in that 2012 shooting, and Pozner has made it his mission to change tech company policies to protect victims from online bullying. He's made progress, but also enemies, and as a result, we agreed not to show what he looks like for his own protection. How many death threats have you received?
Oh, there have been dozens. And there are threats that are just posted that I may have not even seen.
Lenny Pozner says he's been forced to move at least a half dozen times since the death of his son Noah. One of 20 children and 6 adults killed in the 2012 shooting at Connecticut's Sandy Hook Elementary School. While still grieving, Pozner faced a new shock as strangers claimed that the shooting had never really happened.
What did you find online?
The talk of conspiracy theories, the talk of crisis actors, the talk of a staged event to take away people's gun rights.
Most people probably would have just walked away, and you didn't.
I never thought I had the option to walk away.
Because?
Because that was my life now. The father of a murdered child and the name associated to an online conspiracy theory.
Pozner funneled his anger into action, asking social media platforms to take down the posts, at first with little luck.
Most of the time there was an automatic robotic response.
So you're not even dealing with a person?
It never even got to a person.
But in the years since, this unlikely activist has not only succeeded for himself, he's helping others through his organization, HONR Network, whose volunteers keep an eye on the internet, protecting victims of tragedy, cyberstalking, and harassment. people like Andy Parker.
I felt sick.
After his daughter Allison was shot to death on live TV in 2015, conspiracy theorists reposted the video, again claiming it was a fake. Parker contacted YouTube to get the videos taken down.
I thought I could do it just, one time and be done with it. And they said, no, you have to do it for each video. Yeah, it's tantamount to saying, watch your daughter's murder and then tell us why.
Over and over again.
Over and over again, and then tell a robot why this needs to come down. That's essentially what they told me to do.
But Pozner had a better idea. He helped Parker get the rights to the video, allowing him to force their removal in bulk on copyright grounds. And it worked.
It was just a matter of who can help me with this, and I knew it was Lenny.
More recently, many large tech companies have updated their policies on harassment.
So what role do you think you've personally played in getting Facebook and Google and YouTube and WordPress to change their policies?
I think that had I not shamed them publicly using the press, that none of that would have happened in the way that it has happened.
In confronting misinformation, Pozner has also changed minds.
I think it could be summed up with the term Sandy hoax.
Dave Gahari's company published James Fetzer's book, Nobody Died at Sandy Hook, which prompted Pozner to sue in the first place. But as Pozner spoke at a deposition, Gahari had a revelation.
And I'm listening to him, and I determined that what he was saying was authentic, and I wanted to do what I could do to not contribute to the negative things that he's experiencing.
Gahari settled the case, and now Fetzer is on the hook for a $450,000 verdict in Wisconsin. And Pozner says his work is just getting started.
So is this fight, crusade, mission you're on, does it take up your life? I mean, is this what you do?
This has become my life's work, yeah.
This is your life's work?
Yeah, that's what it's turned into.
Does it still feel good when you get something taken down?
It feels right.
Well,
Lenny Pozner is also suing internet personality Alex Jones for defamation for spreading false information about the Sandy Hook shootings. Jones's attorneys are using free speech arguments to try to get the case dismissed. But guys, Pozner says this is not about other people's free speech. It's about people like him and other victims, their freedom from harassment and from terror online.
Absolutely. Yes, and considering what...
I'll bring you back. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, this guy, he's lost his child, and in the end he's had to, I believe in the end that he produced his son's death certificate, and I believe even DNA, I think. But this is what they've had to go through, well, this is what he's had to go through in order to prove that his little 6-year-old boy was actually killed. And I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that's conspiracy theory to the maximum, that, isn't it? Saying that it was a hoax and that it was staged actors and that kind of thing. Harpo the Cow just mentioned about the Vegas shooting. I'm just going to touch on that actually in a little bit. Yeah, so this poor guy, he's had to kind of single-handedly, he started out just to try and go up against these people. Alex Jones was one of the main perpetrators of driving this conspiracy, and the poor guy's had to move house about half a dozen times because of death threats, constant harassment, that kind of thing, all because people say it's fake. It's all to do with to try and drive gun laws and gun control and that kind of thing. But in his words, he said he had to absolutely defend the memory of his son. So you can see why these people, feel compelled to do that. I mean, I would be absolutely the same, wouldn't you? If that was your child and you had been told that it was all fake, and you hadn't really lost your son. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, that's absolutely outrageous. Just recently, that book you saw, that Nobody Died at Sandy Hook, that was settled in his favour in court, 450,000. So James Fetzer and Mike Palasek, whoever wrote it, probably regretting that now. Yeah, that's just insane. Anyway, good thing to come out of this is Lenny then went on to produce or founded a organisation called the HONR Network. I'm just going to bring up their website in case they got a website. So this is what Lenny founded himself. I think they got around about 300 volunteers. They're a 501, what they call in America, a 501c non-profit organisation, so like a charity. And they're doing some fantastic work with social media, with Facebook, with YouTube, Twitter, everything like that, to protect victims, families, survivors of, he started out with mass casualties or mass tragedies, but they've now sort of gone on to cover everyone, really, anyone who's being harassed or online hate, people that are getting online hate against them, things like that. So it's a very, very extremely worthy organisation. So I'd encourage you all to have a look at that. As I say, I've been speaking with Lenny a bit recently, and it's something that we may be able to help him out with, or vice versa. So certainly have a look at that. It's HONR, HONR network. And they've got a very worthwhile cause. I mean, we initially started out to protect victims from being, exploited, obviously, and for being harassed and bullied and all that stuff. Yeah, check them out, Brandy Brown. So ultimately, this fits in precisely, really, with what we're doing. So please do have a look at that, and subscribe to their channel, and maybe catch up on a few of their videos. But it's a very, very, very worthwhile cause, and I know Lenny has done a lot of real good work with Facebook and YouTube. He's written to Mark Zuckerberg, whatever his name is, at Facebook, and I think he's actually got Facebook to change their policies and stuff like that. He's really kicking some ass, as they might say. And then a couple of days ago, I was put in touch actually by Snow Remover, one of our subs, with another channel who are, if I can just find it, Secrets Safe with You. Now this channel are actually helping survivors of the Vegas shooting, 2017 Vegas shooting. Do you guys remember that? This was at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival on Vegas Strip. It was in October the 1st, 2017. Yeah, that's right. The hotel from the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Stephen Paddock, who's 64-year-old bloke from Nevada. Yeah, he was at the hotel opposite, and he shot and killed, I think it was 58 people, and many hundreds were, I think it was up to like 800 in total, were injured, either from being shot or in the panic afterwards. So this Secret Safe With You site, they're in touch with a few of the survivors from that, and they're trying to help out, obviously, victims and survivors of that, who it looks like are going through the same thing, and that they're being told it didn't happen. It was all staged, and it was all fake. And, again, it was all staged to drive gun laws and, to try and get guns outlawed and take away people's Second Amendment. That's what Americans all seem to do, isn't it? When there's a shooting or something. So yeah, so I know we may have a few of their guys with us in the chat. I'm not sure. But that is that's another channel that I'd really like you to check out. Yeah, he did shoot himself, Missy Jane. Yeah, before they got there, which all these cowards seem to do, don't they? So Harpo the Clown saying, yeah, same type of stuff, death threats, late night calls to survivors. Yeah, see, I just don't get the mentality of these people. Why would people want to do that? They create these hate groups and these conspiracies that it was all fake. And then attack the survivors and the victims' families and stuff, saying that it all wasn't real. I mean, just put yourself in that position. You've lost someone in your family, even maybe a child, and then you're being told that no, no, you haven't. It's not real. We know it's not real. It's just staged. It's just an actor. I mean, these people have just got no. What do they think when they do these things? They publicly say they do background checks, etc. on them. So that's just beyond, isn't it? Beyond, beyond, beyond. So I suppose that's the extreme end, isn't it, of some of these conspiracies. And, in a way, it kind of ties in a bit with, obviously, all the conspiracies that are still going around with the Watts case. Obviously not, people saying it was staged, but people trying to implicate people being there. When you think of the amount of bullshit basically that's been tried to push on people, with Nicole Kessinger being there, from her walking out the house to there being a getaway car, to there being 2 or 3 others involved, to it being a plot to blow up the oil site, and just crazy stuff. It all comes under the same umbrella, doesn't it, of conspiracies. I mean, in that sense, like in kind of murder cases, I can understand people do it. It's obviously for clicks, for views, for money, for popularity. They do it in the hope that they're going to get one of them right and everyone's going to say how amazing they are. But with that kind of thing, with the mass shootings, I really don't understand why people would go on a conspiracy theory like that. I really don't. I don't understand what they would get out of it. Are they that worried about gun laws that they're going to go to the extent of harassing and attacking and singling out victims of the crime? That just seems absolutely insane to me. I suppose we're lucky in this country because we don't kind of have, our gun laws are completely different over here. I can't really think of any kind of tragedy in the UK where we've had a conspiracy theory of people trying to say that it's been staged. Maybe wrong, but certainly in the US, it does seem to be more prevalent now, doesn't it? Something major happens, anything 9/11, the 2 that we've talked about, there always seems to be a major conspiracy theory that's run beside it. Oh, someone just mentioned the Unscrambled channel. I mean, actually, yeah, that does tie in with it not happening, doesn't it? That channel's actually stating that it's not real, none of it's real. It's all green screen and, it's all staged, basically. Why? Why would you think like that? Why? I'm sure it feels pretty real to the people it's happening to. But they just don't seem to consider them, do they? Don't seem to consider them at all. So it is a crazy world we live in, isn't it? It really is. And who's going to stand up to these people and help these people? And social media is so prevalent now. People just say, "Oh, just don't watch it and ignore it." It's impossible, isn't it? As we know. Things get said online. It's difficult not to know about it. It's difficult not to hear it. But Lenny has kind of told me that since this lawsuit that he won, about his son, that it will hopefully set a precedent for future laws, for future legislation for sites such as Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that, where the victims and the victims' families and the survivors are protected more against people just being able to throw up these conspiracies and these ridiculous theories and stories, aka in the Watts case it was Miss Mensa, wasn't it, throwing up all this stuff that Shanann had Munchausen and all that kind of thing, and she abused the children and she abused Chris. Luckily she got kicked off of YouTube, quite rightly so, but she should never have been allowed to do that in the first place. And it's the same with these, in my mind, with these conspiracy theories, people saying that these shootings didn't happen and that it was all staged and fake. Should they be allowed to do that? Should they be allowed to put that kind of stuff up? Who's holding them accountable? As we know, in YouTube land, it's just robots, isn't it? It's just robots. And if, who actually looks at this stuff? Who actually looks at this stuff? Okay, happy wife. Thanks for stopping in. Take care. Look after yourself. So I'm just gonna throw the numbers up. Hi Solange, if anyone wants to call in for any reason, if anyone wants to share any story or has got anything they want to get off their chest, it's really a kind of an open floor now, really, for you if you want. If not, it'd be a very short show. But yeah, feel free. If you're in the US, there's a US number there. You just need to ring that number and put in the meeting ID, which runs along the bottom, and that'll get you through to me. Certainly, if there's any Vegas shooting survivors here, I'd be very interested to hear your story. Solange, I Love Lucy, Lady in Red, Orange, Savange. It's just covered about everything there. Yeah, well, we just touched on. I was just letting people know that I've been speaking with a chap called Leonard Pozner. He lost his son in the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012 in Connecticut, and ever since that happened, he's had just non-stop harassment and bullying and people saying that it was staged and he didn't really lose his son. it was all a hoax. In the end, he's been forced to move 6 times. He, in the end, had to show his son's birth certificate. He fought to prove, what had happened, and in the end, he won a lawsuit against a couple of people who wrote a book called "Nobody Died at Sandy Hook." So he's been fighting against these hoaxers and conspiracy theorists. Yeah, it's terrible. But out of it, out of his pain and anguish, he's fought, and he's formed what's called the HONR network, HONR. They're like 300 volunteers. They're a 501c organization in America, and they work with kind of YouTube and Facebook now in order to help victims and survivors against that kind of thing, being harassed and on social media, getting death threats, being bullied, slandered, and he's really made great strides, to be perfectly honest with you, with the big guns at YouTube and Facebook. And then I was just another site. I'll put the link up actually in the chat. It's called Secret Safe with You, and they are sort of small community, a bit like us, that have some people in there that survived. Sure, get this right. Survived the Vegas shooting in 2017. If you remember that one. And they've had a similar struggle where people are saying that it was all staged, it was all a hoax, it's all done to try and control gun laws and the Second Amendment, all that kind of thing. So they're up against all the conspiracy theorists and all the nut jobs on social media that are harassing them and stalking them and saying it wasn't real and didn't happen. So yeah, Kimberly, you're absolutely right. It's people that are already suffering, have already been traumatized, and they've got people trying to invalidate it all and say that it didn't happen, and and they're allowed to put out these radio shows or put up these podcasts, put out these videos to say that it all didn't happen and it wasn't real. And that is just not right, is it? It's just not right. So like us, as we kind of standing up against, the conspiracies, what we saw in the Watts murder case, they're doing the same thing. But obviously the tragedy was different, but it all boils down to the same thing, doesn't it? Of people, victims and survivors being abused and exploited and harassed online. And they shouldn't be. Why should they be? Oh, well done, guys. You're all subbing. Well done. Yeah, let me put HONR's one up there as well. So get you sub to that one. And yeah, just show our support. That's the one for the HONR network. Yeah, Secret Safe for You. I know you've got some sort of battles going on over there, haven't you? It's just unbelievable that people would think that something like that would be a hoax. I just don't understand how they would think people would A, do that, why they want to do that, and B, how would you do something like that without, do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. To think you could stage something like that. That is just beyond the pale for me, that is. And they've got absolutely no respect at all, have they, for the people that were there and the people that had to suffer and go through it and, like I say, are traumatised by it. Hi, Genetic Code. Haven't seen you around for a little while. But yeah, so I think that I think Secrets have got a bit of a kind of battle going with another channel that obviously the channel that are saying a lot of it's a hoax and they're the opposite side, I guess. Like we have an opposite side or sides, don't we? They have a channel that's pumping out this conspiracy that it all wasn't real and all that kind of thing. Wow, look at that. So Secret's just saying there, people digging into survivors' Facebook groups, then researching these survivors and challenging the actual deaths of victims. It's been a journey and does continue. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Actually researching and challenging the deaths of the victims. It's unbelievable. And this is all being played out on social media as well. So the HONR network fundamentally was set up to protect these people, working closely with, I mean, they can protect them online. I don't know about offline, obviously, but, they can help. HONR network is certainly helping to, YouTube and Facebook to change and define their policies on what's allowed, what's allowed to be put out there. Yeah, Sue Damas, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I was quite blown away when I started looking into it, that people have to go through that. It's just unreal. It really is. Hi, Firefly. Yeah, in this day and age, people shouldn't. Yeah, sub to HONR and sub to Secrets. Let me just put them up again. I'll put them up for Firefly's just come in, so someone will have to explain to her what we're talking about. She's going to be miles behind now. I mean, these people must just feel so isolated as well when they start coming under attack like that. Who's there to help them, really? I mean, you think about it. We all know what a minefield social media is, don't we? Genetic code's lost. Yeah, so it's basically it's about Sandy Hook and the disbelievers, for a better word, and the Vegas shootings, and again, people that were saying that was a hoax and it's not real. So there's a channel out there called Secret Safe with You who is fighting against that. It's fighting against these people that are calling it a hoax and digging into survivors' lives and seeing if people actually are dead, believe it or not. And then with the Sandy Hook shootings, one of the fathers has fought vigorously, against the same thing. People that were saying it was fake, it was all a setup, it was all staged. Leonard lost his 6-year-old son. He's been told that didn't actually happen, it wasn't real. And through that fight, he's formed, a massive group of volunteers, about 300 volunteers, called the HONR network, HONR, and they work with social media platforms, and they're getting them to set new rules and policies, basically, about what people can put out online regarding conspiracy theories, hoaxes, slander, re-victimization, all that kind of thing. This is all going on YouTube. You think of how massive YouTube is. We're just this little bubble of what we know, what we picked up on, with the Christopher Watts case. We know how much exploitation and sensationalism and victimization has gone on in that case. It's still going on now. Tamara Hayes, the theories about 9/11 are unreal. Yeah, exactly. 9/11's the same, isn't it? A lot of people say it was, the US government were behind it to give them a reason to basically go and fight Afghanistan and Iraq, wasn't it? Saying that was all fake, or that was all staged and set up. And I suppose it just seems everything that happens nowadays, it just seems to be straight away conspiracy theories go up, isn't there? But it's just when you've got real people and real victims and people that have lost loved ones and are traumatized by these events, who's thinking of them when they're making up these conspiracy theories and you're basically saying it was a hoax? Who's thinking of them? Who's sticking up for them? Who's speaking for them? It just seems anyone can put anything up on YouTube at the moment in this day and age. I think it's slowly changing, but it needs to change quicker. Yeah, exactly. Put yourself in their shoes. If that was your family, say you'd lost your son or you'd lost a loved one, and then you're getting people looking into your life to see whether it's real, whether you did actually lose your son, or whether it was just staged and your son was actually just a stooge and it was all just an act. And you get people start harassing you for that or threatening you. How dare you do something like that? And that's what it boils down to, isn't it? Fundamentally. Hi, Holly Benjamin. Yeah, or you're lying, or you're a crisis actor. This is going on. It's just, it's crazy, isn't it, to even talk about, but to think that it's actually real and it is actually going on and does happen, and these people are actually suffering for it. It's just unreal. Yeah, so if you've missed a lot of, the replay will be up after if you go back. I've put the links in the chat to the sites that I was talking about. So you can always go back and have a look or have a listen. So CL in the chat there. So are you actually a survivor of the Vegas shooting, or were you involved in that? Say you were a target. Is that because you were there? You are. Wow. Okay. So you actually survived. So you're a survivor. Did you lose anybody close to you? Any friends or family, or were you lucky? Channels attack you. CL has been attacked in vulgar personal ways due to the wild conjectures some believe in. Standing up has resulted in threatening phone calls and the likes. You're lucky got out with the graze on my arm. Wow. Must be pretty traumatizing for you though, and to think that people say that it didn't happen. You work closely with Secret Safe. Okay. Drop us an email after. I don't know if it was you that emailed me. I don't think there was a name on it, but yeah, feel free to, anyone involved in that group, feel free to drop me an email and we'll try and get you on. We'll try and get you to you know, speak your experience really. It'd be great to hear, you know, just what you've had to go through since it happened. I think it's quite mind-blowing for a lot of us really that people are having to go through this. I've just put our email up, so anyone involved in that group or that channel, Secret Safe with You channel, yeah, please drop us a mail and you know we'll have a chat and we can maybe get one or two of you guys on. YouTube channels have made it worse. Yeah, well, it's similar in, you know, that in some of these murder cases it seems, because there's channels out there that will just push out so much misinformation and their own conspiracy theories, and you know it just doesn't help the victims, and it you know, even when it starts to implicate other people that weren't involved, there's no proof that they were involved. You know, it can be very damaging. It really can. And you know, certainly we've had the in the Christopher Watts case, we've obviously had the Ruzek family on our channel, and you know we've seen how much it's affected them by what was said about their daughter and stuff. It's, you know, it is really, really damaging to them, and so upsetting for them. Kimberly D, YouTube should take more responsibility for what goes on in their platform. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this it's Lenny Pozner. He's the founder of the HONR network. He is doing some real good work with YouTube and Facebook. You know, he's really gaining some ground there. So, and as I said earlier, he's just won a lawsuit against a couple of guys who wrote a book saying basically that the Sandy Hook school shooting, you know, didn't happen, and you know he's took them to court and he's won in his, you know, £450,000 he's won against those two guys, you know. But yeah, Firefly, you're absolutely right. YouTube has become a cesspool for the morally bankrupt and haters. Well, we've seen it, haven't we, in our little kind of community area. It has just, you know, what started out for us as a great thing, you know, sticking up for a victim's family and you know, trying to stop people profiting from them and slandering them and all of that. You know, we've stuck through it. We're here. We're still here. You know, and we're still fighting for all victims and survivors and families. But some have just seemed to have lost the plot, gone by the wayside, and they've all started fighting each other in the end. Yeah, I'm not sure. Slange saying, Dad, when are these YouTube hate speech rules going to happen? I'm not 100% sure. I can try and find out for you. Because they did make a change, didn't they? Where it included, you know, family of victims' families of tragedies, major tragedies, but we could never find out where to report that, could we? It was never on there, which was weird because it was in their policy. So, but I'll try and find out for you about that. So, CL, you're dealing with terrible slandering. I mean, can you imagine if any of us, something happened to any of us or our family? Can you imagine being slandered and harassed and attacked for it? Yeah, that's the last thing you'd want expect, isn't it? You'd expect to go online and get loads of support, wouldn't you? Lots of support and empathy and respect from people. The last thing you'd expect is for people to start calling you fake and it was a hoax and all that kind of stuff. I'm still trying to get my head around it. It's unbelievable. Yeah, that's a good question actually, Sue Damas. Can't police find out who they are? CL, has anyone ever kind of been arrested or, have they ever found out who's, some of the people that are involved in attacking you or in anyone else? I mean, we've certainly seen a lot in, say, in our little part of YouTube. There's people who've been trying to dox people and slander people, harass people constantly. Constantly. It's still going on now. Still going on now. Not yet, but action will be taken care of soon. Well, good luck. I hope something. So, as what we find, particularly on YouTube, is it's so easy just to create what we call like a stock account. Just any old account, any old name, no picture, and people can just say what they want, and it's impossible for it to be traced. So gives people that complete anonymity, and of course then they just feel that they can say anything. Yeah, Kimberly D, absolutely right. People use freedom of speech as an excuse. Freedom of speech does not give the rights to do what these people are doing. Absolutely right. Freedom of speech doesn't give you the right to slander and hate and harass people, does it? There's got to be a line, isn't there? You're right. People do always use that quote, don't they? Free speech. Well, it's free speech. It's like it's got to be a line between free speech and what's unacceptable. But who draws that line? Certainly YouTube can draw a line as to what gets put up, I think, of videos and what's allowed to be said on videos. Right, guys, anyone want to call in? Lines open. Anyone wants to ring in? If not, we'll just call it a short one tonight. Key things really were just to make you aware of those two sites really, and just give you an eye opener as to what else is going on out there. So I'll just put them in once more. So first one is the HONR network. Should be great if you could have a look at that one. And the second one is called Secret Safe with You. Oh, okay, CL, yeah, no problem. Yeah, yeah. Please just drop us an email and then we'll arrange to do it another time. That's fine. But no, I think it would be very interesting, fascinating really to hear your sort of story, really. You know, as a survivor, what happened and what you've had to face up to since, really, online. Because it certainly blows my mind that what you guys have had to put up with. Unreal. Okay, secret safe. If you wanna ring in, that's cool. As I say, you just need to ring the US, presuming the US number along the bottom, and just put the meeting ID in, and then just press hash when it says participant. I might have a look at that StreamYard actually. Everyone else seems to be using StreamYard now, don't they? Seems a little bit easier. So I think I'll just put a link out. I can just put a link out on the chat and then you can just click it. So I might look into that. Oh, a little shout out to Jamie, by the way, of making lemonade. I saw a bit of a stream earlier and she kind of stuck up for TP. Yay! Right, so yeah, so just run along the bottom. I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the chat. So the number you need to ring for the US. Bear with me a second. Okay, that's the call number. And when you get through, it'll ask for a meeting ID. If you just put that number in, and then that'll get you through. Yeah, we're an awesome group here. We're a nice little community here. We all look out for one another. We don't really get any trouble in here, and if we do, they'll soon be gone. So don't worry about that. I think we've kind of got rid of most of the gremlins. But that's important to us. That's important to me, is to have have a nice community. I'd rather have a little tiny community that's loyal and trustworthy than a whole load of people that I don't really know as well or can trust. All you guys are great, so yeah, loyal and empathetic. Fireflies hit it on the head there. It's important that we have that, isn't it? I want people to just feel like, relaxed in the chat. They can chat to each other. And, that's important. It's not really so much about me, definitely not. It's more about all of us, really, as a community. And if we can pick more like-minded souls up along the way, even better. Oh yeah, misfits as well. Yeah, a few misfits. That's fine. A few of them. A few oddballs. But we're generally a pretty good bunch. Obviously, people will say we're not, but you know, that's part of the course, I think, on YouTube. Oh, Kerry McDonald's from Scotland. Got a brother up in Scotland, in Glasgow. Yeah, it must be a bit of a minefield, to be honest, especially for victims of crime and stuff like that. You know, it's to know where to go online, isn't it? You know, if you want to go online, which groups to join or which communities to find support from, really. Because there's so many baddos out there. And people that say nasty stuff, and as we all know. Yeah, fighting the same, standing strong together. That's absolutely right. That's what we are. That's how we started, and that's sort of how we built up our channel and community, really. It's by sticking together. You know, it's been a rocky road, but you know, we're here, we're still going. People have tried taking us down, constantly putting us down, but we're still here. Yeah, Granny Larry, I should say, still trying to put us down. Yeah, no, I was watching Making Lemonade's stream earlier today, and someone mentioned about, you know, Granny Larry's video, the one where we were supposed to have doxed Mensa when it was just some rip-off report that had gone up, and it basically just had her information on there from her own mediator public website. But it was turned into this massive thing that TP had doxed her and put up all her private information and phone number and everything like that. It was all just stuff that was on her own page. Anyway, and I don't know, maybe we're doing people a service by, you know, letting them know that she was a mediator. Would that be someone you'd want mediating for you? I don't know. It's down to you. Oh, hang on. Oh, Secrets might be having trouble. Let me just... Hang on 1 second. Don't know if you're there, Secrets. You want to try again? I've just refreshed. Yeah, sorry, Secrets. Try again. It does that sometimes. I don't know why. It seems to automatically lock the room when I open it. If you try it again, it should go through now. Should work now. Yeah, I see the couch detectives pushing the NK theory hard again, isn't he? He's still obsessed with her. Still got to have her there. He's got to keep his little theory and his little gravy train going there. All the NK haters. You know, even though old Chrissy Boy's sort of basically saying she didn't do anything, she wasn't there. She's got no reason to protect her really when he's in there doing all the time. But no, she's still got to be there somehow. Somehow she's still there. She's got to be involved. You can't let it go. Can't admit that you got it wrong. Can't admit that that wasn't actually her walking out the house wearing the same clothes as Chris. Hello?
Hello, Team Phoenix. It's Secret Safe with you. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine, thanks. You? It's nice to hear from you.
Oh, it's an honor to be able to call in and speak with you. I'm really excited to see what you guys are doing here and what you stand for and what you're pushing for. And I haven't had a chance to really look at everything that has been going on with the work you've been doing. But what I've picked up on thus far, it's extremely impressive. And I just definitely want to at least call in and share my support with you. I'm just amazed with what you're doing here.
Yeah, thanks. Well, it was one of our subscribers, I think, actually sort of put us in touch. And was it yourself that emailed me, or was
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had a look and I thought, wow, there's sort of similarities of what you're doing with what we're doing. It's obviously quite striking, really. I mean, do you want to just give everyone just a little bit of background on, your channel and what you're kind of all about?
Yeah, I'd love to do that, and if I can do this effectively without getting too far off in the weeds, and but I'll give you some highlights if I can here, off the hip, or shooting from the hip, I should say. Basically, there was a very large following that developed after the Route 91 shooting in Vegas, and a lot of questions about what had taken place there that night. With the crime itself, and a lot of uncertainty. I mean, even with for the first few weeks after the shooting, there was an ongoing investigation that law enforcement was working on, and a lot of independent researchers joined in and looking into it as well. And of course, that spills over into social media and YouTube platform, and then a lot of sharing goes on with video creations. And with the Vegas shooting, there was a lot of, video footage that was being reviewed and then sort of broken down and analyzed. And the people that were there at the shooting were, there were so many different experiences that the survivors and the witnesses there that night had while going through this attack. And there were just a lot of different accounts as to what happened. Some very kind of mysterious things that people witnessed, and so it had a lot of intrigue associated with it. And so there was a huge following for a long time, trying to dig into this and make sure every answer that could be found was being found. And as time went on, more and more information was released to the public, and it was a lot of it was pretty controversial. And so a lot of researchers have been digging into this with a fine-tooth comb, and the size of the following has dwindled down significantly. And what has become more prevalent is the group out there that wants to challenge the event as if it were something pre-planned or staged or involved crisis actors and these kind of things. So that group has sort of become more obvious because they've stuck around as they tend to do with regards to these crimes, because a lot of them have taken this position that things were fake as it relates to many crimes and mass casualties and things. So these people are sort of serial hoaxers, as sometimes we call them.
Right.
So as this is all matured and developed, as this group has sort of gotten more and more attention, it's just become an initiative of many people to challenge them, challenge what they call evidence, challenge what they're claiming and alleging, and then also push back on the false allegations and attacks on character that they put forth against victims, families, survivors, and people who were there during this tragedy. So hopefully that was clear enough to kind of indicate how this has evolved and what I've experienced while going through this. The information that's been released to the public on the crime is, in many people's opinion, it's a little short on information, and so that's why this interest has continued for so long, trying to figure out where the gaps in information are and things of that nature. But this community of hoaxers or false flag type people that try to go to extremes to come up with these ideas and convince people that there's anything realistic about these ideas, those people are kind of always there, and so as more and more answers have been found on this crime in general, those people, a lot of the people who just wanted answers have, gotten their answers and moved on. And then what's left are these people who want to say that there's a conspiracy put forth by some segment of the government that, is bringing all these actors and people together to try to go after American freedoms, basically.
Right, and so is it true that they some of these people have even tried infiltrating people's kind of personal lives, and like someone was saying in the chat that they've even looking into people's deaths and stuff like that. Is that how far they've actually gone to?
Certainly, they go all the way with this stuff, and many of them, I guess, are so convinced that there's some level of large-scale deceit, associated with this, that deaths would be faked, that, large numbers of crisis actors would be hired and involved in what happened. And they're so convinced in this that it's pretty sick, actually. I'm thinking of one channel right now that carries on in his live streams and talks about how, if people don't stand up and fight back against this, then someone's going to be knocking on their door and taking away their guns and sending them off to FEMA camps, because somehow all those ideas tie into this notion of crisis actors and fake deaths and these kind of things. So they tend to tie all this stuff together in their mind, and then this notion that they're under attack starts coming out in what they're talking about, and then they themselves go on the attack, essentially, claiming that certain individuals are a part of a hoax that is ultimately a big attack on their own liberties, and so therefore, in their own words, they call it a war. There's a war going on, and anyone that they suspect as being a part of this war, these alleged crisis actors and so forth, are highly suspect and are challenged. And if those people that they're accusing of being a crisis actor, if they're anywhere around and or speaking out or telling their story, then they are attacked in a big way. It's all fear driven.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's what they're saying. There's no proof behind anything what they're saying. It's just literally, like you say, it's just fear driven, and they just grab onto something and run with it, don't they?
Certainly.
It's just insane. So were you actually personally there yourself, or how are you?
No, sir. No, I wasn't. I like many others, just witnessed it on the news in the days following, and took an interest in it. I was actually injured at the time and was healing up from a surgery, so I had extra time on my hands, and so I became very interested in this crime, and it was horrific to see what the people that you could see on video were going through while this attack took place, and so it really grabbed my attention, and it could have been. It's the thought of it could have been any one of us, friends, family, people we all know that would go and attend a concert like that, and so just what had happened that night was of major interest to me, as it was for so many people, and it was a very unique crime in general. Many aspects of it are just unprecedented and things that we really have never seen before. So it's quite something to study into. It was something to see. So I took an interest in it, and then met a lot of very sharp-minded people along the way, and so I was able to learn a lot from different people, and tried to contribute myself with information that I was reviewing, and that's how I got to know a lot of people. And then things sort of fractioned off into these different groups as time went on. And so my presence here on YouTube sort of took a new direction, with challenging some of these baseless claims and crazy ideas that are put out that are so disrespectful to people that suffered as a result of this tragedy.
Yeah, that's the thing they don't see, isn't it? They don't seem to see is, the level of kind of disrespect and hurt that they're causing to, the victims of people that were actually there and actually experienced it. To almost just write that off as no, it didn't happen. It is awful. It's awful to do that. So, are there like one or two kind of particular channels or creators on YouTube that you are kind of opposed to, or when you say there's a kind of war, is it one or two particular channels that you're up against, or?
Yeah, I think I could say there's probably 3 to 4 channels that are the most active with putting out this sort of disinformation and crazy ideas and so forth. And then there's 4 or 5 smaller ones that participate and also put out content. And then there's probably, these days, maybe 20 to 30 commenters and or contributors that add to these ideas and put out other speculative concepts and focus the spotlight on one aspect or another and suggest that it's fishy or suspicious, and these kind of things. So it is definitely a little community that participates in all this, with a few, I guess you might call them ringleaders, and essentially that sort of steer the ship and rally the troops. Essentially, it's pretty interesting to watch the little community. We have names for them, but I'll be polite.
Yeah, it's probably similar to us. There's sort of a number of channels that we've kind of gone up against or opposed their theories, if you like, and there's a lot of fighting, if you like, goes on between us channels and stuff like that, or has done. It's tended to calm down a bit recently, but I understand what it's like. I suppose it's just kind of understanding the reasoning behind why they do it, really, isn't it? Are they that protective of their gun laws that they would go to these extremes? It just seems very extreme to me. It's not healthy. Something doesn't sit right. Do you know, is it strictly that? Is that the reason why they do it, do you think? Just to protect the Second Amendment?
It does seem that way, Team Phoenix. It does. It's a level of fear associated with Second Amendment rights that I guess creates this additional paranoia that seemingly affects perception in a lot of ways, because when you look at some of the information that they'll go through the process of reviewing and the conclusions they draw when they're reviewing this information, and how impossible it is to validate the idea that they have. It may be completely inconclusive, but nonetheless, they're going to adopt this idea that what they're seeing suggests fakery or trickery or this kind of thing. It's almost as if that feeds that perception of seeing fakery or trickery, feeds that paranoia that ties back to the concerns of loss of Second Amendment freedoms or First Amendment freedoms, for that matter, as well. It's something that's often talked about around in these communities. But to try to pinpoint what you're addressing, it seems to tie back to a general fear of the loss of Second Amendment rights and that kind of thing, which, I live in Texas, so we are very much Second Amendment supporters, in this part of the country for sure. And, I know a lot of people that are very avid, gun enthusiasts. And when they hear of, legislation or laws that are being pushed that would restrict some Second Amendment freedom related, some Second Amendment related freedoms, you'll have people that, run out and start buying a lot more guns and ammo and things because they're figuring that they may not be able to purchase freely in the future. And so you'll see activity associated with those concerns. But I don't see in any walks of life close to me, people suggesting that the government would go out and put forth some large-scale conspiracy involving hundreds or maybe even thousands of people to stage something that would then push legislators to try to start erasing those Second Amendment freedoms, and it's interesting because with the Las Vegas shooting case, there was ultimately a ban on bump stocks that resulted from this crime. And, a lot of Second Amendment advocates took issue with that. And in some regards, they have very valid points taking issue with that. On the other hand, I guess you'd have to really know the ins and outs of that battle, but basically bump stocks are, what people tend to do who are in this hoaxer community is they tend to say, well, bump stocks are first, next it'll be forward grips and, scopes and large capacity mags, and every accessory you can imagine is going to be taken from us soon. And this is all a ploy to start taking all those types of things away. And
right.
But yet you can't put anything concrete together to show that that's indeed part of some plan. There's no factual basis to it. So it all goes back to conjecture and fears and speculation. And so anyway, that's probably enough about that, but that's my take on it.
So like I say, it's no, like you say, there's no proof or anything behind it. It's just hysteria, really, isn't it? If you managed, do you know the HONR network? Am I right in thinking that you know somebody who is in touch with them, or?
Yes, I know a little bit about the HONR network and the history behind it, and know people that communicate with them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they may be able to help. I don't know how far you've got with them or whether they've been able to be of any help.
Well, and it's kind of an interesting situation, or I guess you might call it an epidemic even in some regards, but it's an interesting situation to monitor because I hear a lot of pushback at times. Nobody's bothering these people, or these people aren't being threatened, and these kind of things. This issue is not as significant as will make it out to be. The issue of victims of crimes being harassed, that is.
Mm.
And I think that's certainly not true. These ideas and this paranoia and the behavior that these people exhibit when they're questioning victims, families, survivors of mass casualties, and that kind of thing. This paranoia, it pushes some of these people that are involved in these groups to go way over the top. And I mean, that's obvious. We've seen it, and that's obviously why the HONR group exists, and some of the stuff that's taken place with the Wolfgang situation and all that, those lawsuits. It gets over the top in a hurry, and I think some people want to act or show denial when it comes to that, and it's unreal to me, because the more out of hand it gets, the more people that get hurt, and people get re-victimized and the likes, and so it's a serious issue. And so again, that's why I was so excited that Snow Remover had pointed me in your direction. It's neat to see the work you guys are doing.
Yeah. No, I mean, hopefully we can, sort of work together maybe and, join forces even, strength in numbers and all that.
Certainly, information, strength in numbers, knowledge and awareness. I'm all for all that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, because that's what that's what we're all about. It's, for victims of crime, doesn't matter what, the level of crime or the size, that's what we're here for. So yeah, so hopefully we can put something together and certainly I'll put your site on in our chat a few times, and I'll make sure it goes under the video as well, so people are aware of it. Hopefully we can get a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we can get a lot of our subs over there.
Well, it's a big project. I spend a lot of time on it, and have computer issues and all kind of fun things that happen along the way. But that's why it's so nice to see others actively working, on something like this that's so important to victims all around. And because there's only so much you can do, but I don't think this issue is going to go away anytime soon. So I think it's great that we can all keep working towards persuading social media to get a little bit of a control on this situation.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? I mean, there's got to be a line, isn't there? There's got to be a limit of what, especially certainly when it starts on, say, YouTube and then goes off of YouTube and into people's personal lives, and that's straight away crossed a massive line, isn't it? And they just need to be held more accountable for stuff that they put out and put up, because at the moment it just seems like anyone can put anything up almost.
Well, and you bring up. I'm sorry, yeah, and you bring up a good point, and it raises a question in my mind. Some of these recent lawsuits that we've seen in the news where the victims have been awarded compensation for the slanderous activity. I'm wondering what liability the social media platforms have in all of this when it comes to the chain of communications that took place along the way as this victim was re-victimized by the conspiracy theorist or hoaxer or whatever you want to call them. Damages were ultimately awarded to this victim, but along the way, obviously the social media platforms played a role in it to an extent in terms of the information exchange, false information exchange, no less. And so you just kind of prompted that thought in my mind. I wonder how all that ties into this stuff at the end of the day from a legal standpoint, the roles that the social media platforms actually play in this kind of thing.
Well, they all kind of have hidden somewhere. They've all got their own kind of policies and guidelines. I think a lot of the problem we've had is half the time, especially on YouTube, everything's just controlled by bots. Being able to actually speak to someone. There's no kind of customer support number, no helpline number for YouTube, believe it or not. There is no phone number you can ring to even contact someone, which by itself is ridiculous. Everything just seems to be technology and bot based. So it's so difficult. So to find out what part they actually play, even finding that out is just so difficult. But I know the HONR network have made more steps or more inroads with these social media companies. So it's something we might be able to find out from them. But yeah, I mean, they've got a massive part to play, haven't they? Because they're the ones that are putting the stuff out there. Whether it's misinformation or not, they're still just hosting it on their platforms.
Certainly, they're enabling it to an extent, without a doubt, and there should be some liability associated with that if damages are being suffered by individuals out there, and they clearly are, or otherwise we wouldn't see these settlements. These settlements reached for compensation.
Yeah, exactly. It shows that there's something obviously been done wrong, doesn't it? When things are settled like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, great. Well, thanks for bringing in. We'll definitely stay in touch. And any of your guys in your community or yourself, just drop us another email, and we'll arrange to maybe get a couple of you guys on as well, a couple of survivors and stuff. That'd be, be really interesting to hear their stories.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. It's all a part of creating the awareness, and some of the stories that people have to share are just mind blowing, and it's horrible. So it needs to be heard by as many as possible. And so thank you so much for what you're doing. And it's an honor to meet you. And so I appreciate you letting me come on and speak with you for a minute. And thanks again. I appreciate it, Team Phoenix.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thanks very much. I'm sure we'll speak again.
Okay. Talk with you later. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks to everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, there we go. So that was Secret Safe with You. So I didn't actually get his first name. Call him Secrets. Yeah, no, you're right, Kimberly. It does need to be heard. I mean, these are people that that survived obviously a mass shooting. Obviously their stories could be quite, obviously hard hitting, might be upsetting for some. Obviously it's probably going to be difficult for them to talk about it. But like he was saying, in order to raise awareness and make people realise what these people are going through, it needs to be put out there, unfortunately, certainly to make YouTube listen. It's got to be shared. So that's something we'll definitely do. We'll definitely get a couple of those guys on and get them to share their stories. It may benefit them. It may help them some ways. I know some people have said it's been therapeutic. Them coming on and sharing their stories, victim stories. So can only hope that it'll be the same for them as well. But no, yeah, thanks for calling in, Secrets. That was it's good to sort of touch base with you, really, and kind of fighting the same battle, really, on the same team. So certainly in YouTube, there doesn't seem to be any other channels that I know that kind of do what we do, or fight in our fight, if you like. So the more of us that can band together, the better. Definitely. Right, guys. Oh, yeah, nearly 10 o'clock. I think I need to have something to eat before I retire to bed. So it's been a real interesting one. It's been a real interesting one. So thanks again to Secrets for calling in. I'll put the two websites again underneath the video for the HONR network and for Secret Safe with You channel. So please be sure to check them out, and please be sure to subscribe. And as I say, sometime soon we'll get a couple of the guys on and get them to share their stories to us, and probably be a bit of an eye opener for us as well. The level of what's going on out there. Regarding victims, people being harassed and bullied online. It just never ends. Right. Thank you, Casey. So have a great weekend, everybody, wherever you are. I hope it's nice weather. I hope it's not too cold. I hope you're relaxing or having fun, whatever you're doing. And I'll aim to get on again sometime next week. I'll let you know. I'll stick a community post up. But it's been great to see you all. It's been great to chat. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you on the other side. Thank you, guys. Speak again. Bye.